Hello students, you are welcome to this special class, EDU256 Physics Method. In this course, we shall be exposed to the rudiments of physics teaching at the secondary school level. Today, however, we are going to examine the various type of teaching methods, or you call it teaching strategies, and I know you are going to have the best of experience. So let's go into the main course. Now, you are welcome to the class once again. And the topic today is going to be methods of teaching physics. I'm your lecturer, Amusa. And of course, today's date is September 22nd, 2020. Now, you must have been hearing discussion on teaching methods. And the question is, what are teaching methods? Why do we really have different types of teaching methods? Why are teachers constrained to take from these arrays of teaching methods? Then which of the teaching methods would you consider to be most suitable? These are some of those things you will be able to respond to at the end of this class. Method of teachings are the approaches or means, or we call them strategies, which a teacher could adopt, to carry out the function of instruction of lessons. You must adopt a method. You see, in the enterprise of education, a lot has been developed, and there are several ways of imparting instruction, such that out of these several ways, a teacher must adopt one that is suitable for the task ahead. Now look at this. We have several methods of teachings, and I've only listed about 7, in this class. We have lecture method, demonstration method, and we also have a project method, discussion method, discovery method, field trip method, and the last on my list here is laboratory method. You might want to find out which of these methods will be considered to be the best of all. And let me say this, the best of all the methods is that very method that is more learner centered. You can see the arrow. The arrow shows how learner centered they are. And you see laboratory method down the line. So from the red showing goes to yellow. So and your choice of method of teaching depends largely on the topic you want to treat, and on the age of your learners, the characteristics of your learner. So those ones are very key. Now let's start with lecture method. And in examining this lecture method, we are going to adopt Sqat analysis. Sqat, we're going to look at the strength of the method. We are going to examine the weakness. We're going to look at opportunity and threats. Now, you can see what is the strength and what is the weakness. And for lecture method is one of those old methods that is common. They usually call it traditional lecture method, or in some cases they call it the conventional lecture method. So this, in most schools, this is what most teachers uses in their teaching. It is very useful for handling of large classes. It is also very useful when you want to cover large syllabus, and there's no time there. Lecture method is one of those methods that can be used to cover large syllabus. Also, it manage time, economy of time, and you don't have to put much effort in your lesson. And of course, if you look at the weakness in lecture method approach, most of the learners, they are always passive, because they merely listen to the teacher. They do not participate. The teacher takes center stage of the teaching, so it does not develop critical thinking and creative ability in the students. So it involves only the sense of hearing. The student merely listen to the teacher. They merely look at the teacher, so it does not improve anything in the. So these are some of the weaknesses in the lecture method. Of course, like I said at the beginning of the class, you are going to determine which method is more student centered at the end of the day. Let's go to demonstration method. In describing demonstration method, it involves teachers demonstrating before the class. The students are seated and the teacher comes up with certain things and begin to demonstrate. It shows the students some examples of pictures. It could be real objects, but the students only see. They will not have the opportunity of touching the object, and so that's the description. Now, in examining the strength, it is an attention inducer, very cheap. It induces the attention of the student, and you are able to motivate students towards the learning. It saves times and it's economical, because in a place where you're supposed to have like 5 equipment, with one you are good to go. So that's one of the major strengths of that. And it also has its own weakness. Students mainly use sense of hearing and sight also. It does not develop manipulative skills in the student. Discovery method, yes. Down the line, discovery method is a method that engage the students a lot of skills. It is done outside the classroom. It could be done outside the classroom, and in some cases you can also do it inside the classroom. So the student will discover himself. The student will be at the center of the lesson, at the center of learning. So the strength, learner owns knowledge. You build your knowledge through what? Active participation in the class. So there's no room to just sit down. You are going to be engaged. Sometimes, like I said, it can be right within the class, and sometimes it might take you out. Just like we have in field trips, they have their similarities though, but here students take center stage and try to discover things himself and build his knowledge. Now look at the weakness. It is slow and time consuming. It is slow, definitely slow and time consuming. And teachers always have difficulty in supervision, especially when it is involve large classes. And in looking at discussion method in this case, the teachers really only engage the students in discussion. They do not have any thing to show. It's just mere conversation, verbal conversation. Teacher takes time to describe. The student merely listen. And sometimes the teachers will engage student to student interaction, where students engage in the discussion, or sometimes it could be the teacher and the students that engage in discussion. So that's the description of discussion method. And let's look at the strength. It is useful in motivating students and build interpersonal relationship. If you consider the principle of discussion, when there is constant discussion, there is going to be relationship. Yes, there is going to be relationship. Do you know, by the time you have you get a good relationship with your wife, discussion strengthens that relationship. Somebody you have interest in, by the time you engage in a lot of discussion, so the same thing happens. So it enhances interpersonal relationship. And of course, that is weakness. It is slow and time consuming, and does not allow for easy coverage of content. Now, also as part of those method, we have laboratory method. Laboratory method, teaching takes place really in the laboratory, mainly in the laboratory. the students are engaged, making use of laboratory apparatus. They make use of the equipment, and they carry out experiments. All the process skills, scientific process skills, observing, experimenting, recording, and all those process skills, students go through them. They engage in application of principles. They want to, implement the scientific principles and laws. So in this case now, this is more student centered. It is more student centered. Learners develop manipulative skills, so they are able to manipulate in the course of the experimentation, and it involves a lot of critical thinking. And it has its weakness. It is expensive, man. It is damn expensive, and that is why in most of our secondary schools, government, left most of those laboratories unattended to. When you get to some schools, the little stands, the vernier calipers, and all other equipment, they are really available for the student to use. So, and in most cases, it's also prone to accidents. If there is wrong connection, for example, if you are engaging in electricity, and there is wrong connection, you can have accidents in that course. So then, what is it? Is that all we have? No, that is not all. There are other several methods. Have you heard about field trip? Of course, I mentioned it when I was describing discovery method. Also, there is some more recent one. For example, we talk about scientific argumentation instructional strategy. Scientific argumentation instructional strategy. And in the modern time, in the 21st century, there are some other, instructional method that are being developed. So I want you to make some findings on your own, get more lists, increase your list of the method, so that you'll be able to understand what teaching method is all about. Till we meet again in the next class. Bye for now.